3 months after we got together. I fell deeply in love with Lucas and had my first intimate contact with him. However, the next day, the related video unexpectedly spread widely online. That day, my father got drunk. Lucas suddenly came to my house and said some things that made me very sad. He said, "People like me, since we are willing to socialize, should not be afraid of being seen by others." Dad suddenly couldn't catch his breath. He collapsed on the ground and never got up again. Mom couldn't afford the medicine. She could only lie in bed and slowly weaken. Did you see? The daughter of that former real estate tycoon. Now she makes a living by washing people's feet. I said nothing. I just quietly finished washing his feet. I took the tip he gave me and hurried to buy medicine for my daughter at the end of the workday. The manager usually issues the daily wages, but he casually touched me a few times. He blew a smoke ring at my face. The flesh on my face trembled slightly. What others can do, why can't you? There are clearly simple opportunities to make money, yet you don't take advantage of them. Isn't that wasting your own advantages? Sophia, several customers are currently dissatisfied with you. If you still refuse to lower your stance, then you might as well leave early. I calmly nodded. Okay, then you can settle the wages that were deducted from me. The manager has a bad temper. He raised his hand and slapped me hard. My ears buzzed. My face hurt like it was on fire, but I didn't even dare to frown. I could only lower my head and say, "Please settle the wages that were deducted from me." Another slap landed on my face. A few red bills slowly floated down. When I bent down to pick it up, the manager had already left the room, leaving only an impatient remark. "All right, this is today's salary. The store doesn't lack for someone like you." I was stunned for quite a while, only slowly managed to say thank you. But the manager had already left. At the door stood Lucas's fiancée, frowning and looking wary, and Lucas standing aside, watching me make a fool of myself with crossed arms. "You used to be an outstanding student from a prestigious school. How come you're now working as a foot masseuse and having to beg so humbly?" His eyes were full of pride. This reunion was pretty much as I imagined. I didn't tear apart his deceitful and hypocritical face like in my dreams. I even felt my hatred had disappeared. All that was left was exhaustion and numbness. I just want to live as best as I can. I just want to do my best to survive, to raise my daughter to adulthood, to pay off the debts. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? It's been so many years since we last met. Don't you have anything to say to me? Lucas reached out and leaned against the door frame. He blocked my way out. I lifted my tired eyes to look at him. I asked, "Lucas, isn't that enough? My dad was triggered because of you. He jumped off a building in front of you. My mom has no one to take care of her. Her wound got infected and festered. In the end, we couldn't even tell if she died from illness or starvation. I did the hardest work as you requested. This is how my life will be. Are you still not satisfied?" Just as Lucas was about to speak, his fiancée pulled his sleeve with a stern face and said, "I don't care what happened between you before, but Lucas, don't you think it's pointless to get entangled with such a person? Don't you think it's pointless to get entangled with such a person?" Her words softened Lucas's gaze. It also added a touch of emotion to my eyes. Once upon a time, I was also that radiant. I was a beloved princess. Until I met Lucas during my sophomore trip. He looked like the male lead in a comic, handsome and gentle. His words were as beautiful as poetry. He completely matched my beautiful imagination of love. He took me to Yellowstone National Park and the Grand Canyon. We also visited several romantic cities. I gave him everything. That night was painful, but I was still immersed in love. I did not refuse. But the next day, my video went viral online. My parents kept calling me, but I didn't dare to answer. I hurried to find Lucas. I wanted to ask him what had happened, but he seemed to have suddenly disappeared from my life. I locked myself in a small inn for a month, until I ran out of money, when I was about to starve. Only then did I buy a ticket home out of survival instinct. What awaits me is not my parents' blame or comfort, but 2 bodies, cold corpses. Sophia, you understand how much your dad loves you. During those 10 days you were missing, he put everything aside to look for you. He didn't even care about the problems at the company. I just showed him the video and said your reputation is ruined. As a result, he got incredibly angry. On the phone, Lucas laughed like a madman. In that moment, I felt an indescribable despair. The person I loved deeply, once so gentle and polite. How could he turn into the madman who destroyed my family? The distorted, pathological face in my mind gradually overlapped with the Lucas I hadn't seen for 7 years. He disregarded his fiancée's obstruction and bent down to whisper in my ear, "Have you ever thought about it? How heartbroken your dad must feel when he knows his beloved daughter is hurt. How much pain he must be in. I didn't intend to force him into a dead end, because death is too easy for him. I really wish your father could see what you look like now. He's waiting to see me lose control, to see me break down, to see me feeling both hatred and helplessness towards him. He harbors such resentment towards me and the Smith family. The more I suffer, the more satisfied he should feel. I'm not intentionally denying him his wishes. It's just that I really don't have the strength to feel those emotions." We locked eyes. I asked softly, "Lucas, have you ever thought that you might have a daughter in the future?" He let out a cold laugh. The corners of his mouth lifted. He tightened his grip around my neck and said, "Are you waiting for me to have a child?" And then retaliate against me in the same way. He pulled harder and harder. I gradually couldn't catch my breath. Fortunately, the manager and his fiancée arrived just in time. They helped and managed to get me out. "Sophia, did you know him before?" The manager frowned. He stared at Lucas and said, "You want me to deal with him for you?" Lucas said with a sneer. "I just touched her, and she wants to call the police. Someone like her, you can touch her, but I can't touch her. The manager's background isn't very clean." He speaks with a hint of streetwise attitude, emphasizing that no one can force him. In the end, Lucas's fiancée revealed their prominent status in the business world. Only then did the manager calm the situation. He said to Sophia, "Sophia, you think that by pretending to be pitiful in front of me, I will sympathize with you. You're still alive. You have a healthy body, and you don't have to worry about food and clothing. But that's far from enough." When I got home, the 2 sentences Lucas said are still spinning in my mind. I just can't figure it out. That manager, who usually only cares about profit and uses dirty means, he actually felt sympathy while I was working and hiding my daughter in the storage room to do her homework, even though I repeatedly refused the additional services proposed by the clients. This led him to lose his old clients. He has still been tolerant of me until now. But Lucas, his heart is as hard as stone. Months after my parents passed away, I discovered I was pregnant with his child, but I had no conditions to properly carry the pregnancy. I felt like I had lost my sanity. When I was hungry, I would rummage through trash bins. When I was thirsty, I would find public restrooms to drink raw water. I even carried a fruit knife with me. I searched everywhere for Lucas. I couldn't find him, but I heard a lot about him. For example, his parents died because of my dad. At that time, my dad was particularly harsh on the workers to meet the deadline. His parents had an accident on a rainy night. Unfortunately, they fell to their deaths. In the end, they only received a small compensation. In the end, I only received a small amount of compensation, only a few thousand yuan. He went to great lengths to get close to me. It's just for revenge. He wants me to experience his pain as well. But my parents have already been killed by him. I endured in the dark for 7 years. I've lost even the strength to hate. I can no longer stand up straight. Every day I am taken advantage of. I even feel disgusted with myself from the bottom of my heart. Isn't that enough? Isn't this still not enough? I've finished crying. I wiped away my tears and barely forced out a weary smile. I slowly walked home. "Emma, Mom bought you your favorite fried chicken leg. Did you take your medicine, okay?" My daughter suddenly threw herself into my arms. She hugged me tightly. Then she immediately went to take her medicine. Next, she split the chicken leg in half. She gave me the larger piece. She is very understanding. At 7 years old, she can cook for herself, go to and from school by herself. She understands why other children can live in the new community, while we can only live in the old building. She doesn't need me to coax her to take her medicine. But because of this, I actually want to treat her like the little me who used to get what she wanted by being cute. It seems like this could make up for her a bit more, so that she can enjoy a little bit of the happiness that a child should have, even amidst the endless medicine and unhealable pain. "Mom, the teacher said there will be a parent meeting this weekend. Both Dad and Mom are required to attend. Should we do it like last time? Tell the teacher that you are not local." And my daughter hasn't finished speaking. I just hugged her tightly. I blurted out, "This time, Mom will go. She will find someone to play the role of your dad." Although my daughter didn't say anything, I know clearly. Her classmates are gossiping about her behind her back. They say she is a child without a father. Watching her force a smile while unable to hide her sadness, I made up my mind. The next day, I went straight to the manager. "I'm willing to take on that kind of job." The manager's eyes narrowed slightly after hearing my next words. His expression immediately turned cold. I directly stated my conditions: to have him pretend to be the child's father at the parent-teacher meeting. If it's just for this small matter, you don't have to, not just because of the child. I also came to understand. Lucas's appearance made me realize my body and reputation had already been ruined 7 years ago. Now, aside from my daughter, I have nothing left to protect. I urgently need money. The first person to point at me was a small boss in his 30s. He has some money at home, but the family relationship isn't good. He became a regular of mine a year ago. He confessed to me multiple times on this day. He was eager to make a move. He suddenly pushed me down. His hand just reached into my clothes. The door was kicked open by someone. Lucas stormed in angrily. A flustered waiter followed behind, continuously apologizing. "Big Sister Sophia, this guest heard that you were booked for 1998. He insisted on coming over. We couldn't stop him at all." Lucas suddenly shouted, "Get out." The little boss, who recognized him immediately, dared not speak. He lowered his head and hurriedly left. The waiter was also kicked out. In the ambiguously decorated private room, only the two of us were left. The silence was broken by my light laugh. "What are you laughing at?" "I'm laughing at that previous guest. Every time he comes to find me for a foot massage, he always adds extra time, and he loves to chat. But now, he left without saying a word. It's really quite amusing. I never believed the heartfelt words he said. I just remembered Lucas from 7 years ago and who I was back then. I laugh at how good his acting is. He tricked me so badly, since you know. Why would you still do this kind of work, Sophia? You're not planning to find a way to take revenge on me, are you? Yet you'd rather stay in a place like this." I looked at the anger on Lucas's face. I quietly picked a few uniform jackets. I brought them to him and asked, "Lucas, need any service? If you want, choose the uniform you like. If you don't want it, don't waste my time making money here." He suddenly swatted the clothes out of my hand. He tightly grabbed my arm. "Do you really have to earn this money? You used to live a rich life with your heartless father. Now you can't endure a life of hardship." I was momentarily at a loss for words. It felt as if I couldn't sense any suffering in this world. I was betrayed by the person I loved deeply. My parents unfortunately passed away. The family fortune was gradually depleted while my father desperately searched for me. It left behind a huge debt. Although my father is not a perfect person, he loves me. He loves me very, very much. Because of the scandal I caused, it made him extremely angry. In order to let my father be buried in his hometown, to avoid being dug up by creditors, I had to take on all the debts. Most of the money I earn each month goes to paying off the debts. The rest is only enough to buy the cheapest medicine for Emma. In the past, I worked 3 jobs every day. I was so exhausted that I became anemic, just barely managing to get by. Now working as a foot masseuse, it's much easier than before, and the commission for this service is very high. The payment for one session is equivalent to my income from a whole day of foot massages. I don't have time to waste with Lucas. I follow the training process directly. I started dancing suggestively in front of him as soon as I got close. I was slapped to the ground. My ears were buzzing. I heard Lucas sneering. I was right back then. "Sophia, you are really going too far. Isn't it just about wanting money?" Lucas found the manager. He said it directly. "I have plenty of money. I'll give it to you." He plans to take me out for a few days with money, seeing that I agreed. The manager didn't say anything either. I'm not sure if he still wants to target me. He thinks I still have self-esteem for him to attack. However, since I've already let go of my burdens, I don't care about anything anymore. As long as there's money, Lucas can do whatever he wants. He drives quickly on the main street of the city. Seeing my palms sweat and my face show fear, he lightly mocked me, saying, "You've already fallen this far. Are you still afraid of dying?" I looked directly into his eyes. I asked, "You said 10,000 a day. When will you give me the money today?" "Heh, don't rush. First, come with me to a place." Lucas took me to the city where we first met, and to the campus where I went to college. Even if I leave here, leave my hometown, escape to a strange city, I still cannot escape these nightmares and shame that will accompany me for life. But on my face, there is always only calm numbness. "Do you really not hate me, Sophia? I caused the death of your whole family. I ruined your life. Why don't you want to trample me underfoot? How can you live so muddled? What's the difference between this and being dead?" I replied casually. "Of course it's different. It's better to be dead. Being dead would be easier, but I can't do it. I gave birth to Emma. At first, when I found out I was pregnant, I particularly hated this unborn child. But it was this hatred. Let me decide to give birth to him. Lucas values family ties so much. I just want to make him suffer in the harshest way, to take revenge on him, in order to achieve my goal. I even gave birth to the daughter of my enemy. Let this little life come into the world in a dark and malicious environment. However, when I first heard my daughter call me Mom, watching her dance around, giggling and smiling at me, when I realized that my originally gray life suddenly had a touch of warmth, I no longer had the strength to resist. Because of love, I could no longer hate. Lucas took me to my father's grave. When he pushed me down and humiliated me, I did not resist either. My clothes were scattered all over the ground. As Lucas was about to continue, a sudden dog bark interrupted his actions. His fiancée shouted angrily. "Lucas, you have any conscience left, Isabella? How did you get here?" Lucas quickly pushed me away, hastily stepped forward to explain. "Don't overthink it. I have already clarified everything about Sophia with you, what I did with her. It was just for fun. There was absolutely no intention to betray you." Isabella was holding a teddy bear that kept calling out. Her eyes were red. Stepped back a bit. "If it was just for fun, why are you ignoring Max? I told you long ago. Max is sick. He needs a private jet to see a doctor abroad. In your view, is teasing her more important than Max's health? Max is the dog that Isabella is holding. The dog is sick. Lucas can take it on a private jet for treatment abroad. Emma is sick, but can only use the cheapest medicine to ease the pain." Years of calmness. At this moment, resentment surged again. Lucas struggles to stand up, continues to comfort Isabella. "Don't worry, baby. I will definitely heal Max and marry you as soon as possible." Isabella interrupts him. "Are you still lying to me?" Isabella almost shouts to interrupt him. "I have figured everything out. Your relationship with Sophia is not that simple. Otherwise, how could she have given birth to your daughter and has been raising her until now?" The moonlight is bright, shining on Lucas's gradually pale face. This is the first time he shows surprise and fear in front of me. He doesn't care about Isabella, slowly walks towards me. His voice trembles. "Sophia, you hid the fact that you had our child from me. How can your heart be so hard? How can you cruelly use the child as a tool for revenge? You have harmed my whole family and still think I am being excessive. Lucas, I would never harm the child. If you dare to use the child against me, I would risk my life for it. I will drag you down to hell with me." I gritted my teeth, putting on a fierce facade. Lucas suddenly seemed to remember something, leaving me and Isabella behind. He hurriedly got into the car. By the time I came to my senses, only the exhaust smoke remained on the village road. And Isabella, crying hoarsely with tears that wouldn't stop. "Hello, Sophia, right? Was Lucas's earlier behavior real or just an act? Does he really not know that you gave birth to his daughter?" Upon hearing this, I immediately felt a chill. I realized Lucas was going to find Emma. Fear surged like a tide, instantly engulfing me after my parents passed away. I felt like I had lost my soul, imprisoned and tormented by creditors while pregnant. That kind of despair is nothing compared to the fear I feel now. That crazy person Lucas is out for revenge against me. He might not even spare his own child. I dare not think too much about it. My worry for Emma leaves me no room for anything else. I directly knelt in front of Isabella. "Please, take me to save my daughter. Is that okay? If Lucas really kills someone, he will definitely go to prison. You wouldn't want your fiancé to end up in jail, right? I swear. All I feel for him is hatred. I truly have no other feelings left. I didn't expect that." Isabella helped me up herself. She assisted me into the car. She said, "It doesn't matter anymore. Between Lucas and me, there is no possibility left. He forced your father to death for the sake of family revenge. This behavior scares me because I love him. That's why I wanted to give him another chance. But his actions, Sophia, after Lucas sees you again, the whole person has become strange since you care so much about the child. In the future, try to avoid Lucas with her. Living well doesn't give me peace of mind." Isabella's words. Instead, it makes me more afraid. Isabella is missing. Will Lucas blame me? I drove faster. I called the police immediately, but it was too late when I got home. Emma is usually very obedient. She never goes out alone at night. She can't be found anywhere in the house. I can still smell the faint scent of Lucas's cologne in the air. I called Lucas. On the other end of the line, there was only the sound of a shutdown. "Then let's die together." "Die," I muttered to myself in a daze. I carefully hid the fruit knife in my bosom. just waiting for the police to find out where Lucas is. Arrived at the hospital, the doctor confirmed to the police that Lucas is innocent. He did not harm Emma in any way. Instead, he called an ambulance in time when Emma fell ill and has always stayed by her side. When the police left, Emma was still unconscious in the hospital room. I want to see how the child is doing, but Lucas grabbed my neck and pushed me out of the hospital room. He said coldly, "You don't deserve to see her." I endured the suffocating discomfort. I tried hard to push into the hospital room. I didn't do anything to Emma. Really didn't. He was getting stronger with his grip. "No, then why don't you cure her? Instead, you use inferior medicine to make her suffer so much. Sophia, your dad caused my parents' deaths. He truly deserves it. But that night I went to find your dad. I never intended to force him to death. He got himself drunk and accidentally died from anger. You have a problem with me. Just come at me directly. Why give birth to my daughter but not treat her well? She is also your own flesh and blood. How could you bring yourself to do that?" I have no interest in arguing about past grievances with him. All I can think about is seeing my daughter as soon as possible. I hurriedly explained to him, "I never intended to hurt Emma. I just really don't have any money. I truly can't come up with the money." He doesn't believe me. He said I could clearly find a high-paying job. Yet I chose to work in a foot massage parlor after graduating from a prestigious university. It was to deliberately embarrass Emma, to get back at him. He thinks I am as cold-hearted as he is, harboring malice. He was so angry that he almost choked me, but after suddenly receiving a text message, he slowly released his grip. His emotions also calmed down. The text contained information about my situation over the years that he had someone investigate. In the first year after my parents passed away, I was expelled from school due to the video incident and frequent absences. Later, I gave birth to Emma. The arrival of a new life gradually helped me regain my spirit. I started delivering food while carrying Emma in a baby carrier. I also tried to participate in drug trials. The monthly repayment we agreed upon, not even a penny less. The creditors would bring excavators to my father's grave. I felt increasingly oppressed and gradually lost my principles. By the 4th year, I found a job in a foot massage parlor. Life finally started to improve a bit. Those resentments and complex emotions, I no longer think about them. Now, the only motivation for me to live is Emma. Lucas finished reading the text message. He understood everything. He was silent for a moment. Finally, he spoke up and asked, "Since it's so difficult, why not ask someone for help to see my daughter?" I answered truthfully, "No one helps me. After my dad passed away, relatives and friends gradually lost contact. Then why did you still give birth to Emma, let her suffer alongside you? I'll tell you over the phone. I've been taking advantage of you. Your dad is really upset with me. He eventually passed away. Why don't you continue your studies? Strive to climb higher, to accumulate resources for revenge?" This question, I can't answer that. I'm not Lucas. I can't meticulously plan revenge like he does. I can't build a career from scratch either. I'm not the heroine of a novel. Effort alone won't guarantee fate's favor and help from benefactors. I'm just an ordinary person who nearly broke down after sudden changes. From a carefree life to working desperately now, I've exhausted all my strength. The greatest benefactor I've encountered is the manager who works at the foot massage parlor. He tolerated me for 3 years. Not only did he not fire me, but he also gave me the highest commission. What else can I do? I can only keep my stance very low, so low that it's almost invisible. What exactly do you want me to do? Before you let me and Emma go, Lucas hasn't troubled me anymore. He helped Emma pay for her medical expenses. He plans to take her to the best hospital in the country for treatment. I hope Emma's illness can be completely cured. However, the probability of success is very low. As long as there is money, there is a chance to create miracles. I didn't refuse, because Lucas wants to hurt Emma. There's no need to put on a show in front of me, a foot masseuse, as long as Emma can get better. I don't care about anything. That night, Emma saw Lucas choking me. Since then, she has refused to get close to Lucas no matter what. She would rather not be hospitalized for treatment, and she firmly refuses to meet Lucas. Lucas said to her, "Emma, I am your father. Actually, you don't have the surname Smith. You should call me Lucas." "Emma, Dad's not only can cure your illness, I will buy you the most beautiful dress, take you to live in a big house, eat delicious food, make you the happiest princess." "Okay," Emma leans in my arms, completely ignoring Lucas, just saying that having a mom is enough. No matter how I advise her, she won't listen. She is too smart for her own good. It seems she noticed I was trying to bring her closer to Lucas. Actually, it's because I'm afraid of losing her. She is so understanding. It makes me feel particularly upset. I even blame myself for being too selfish. Since Lucas can make her happier, why should I still hold on? The pain of losing a daughter. Maybe only death can resolve it. When Emma was still here, I cannot easily give up on life. Now that I have this opportunity, why not give it a try? What can creditors do to someone who has already passed away? They wouldn't dig up my dad's grave just to collect debts. Would they? Lucas is holding a big bag of toys and snacks. He drowsily said to me, "Please persuade Emma for me." "I'll pay any amount," I replied. "No money needed." I quietly hid my injured hand. Try to stay calm. "I will leave on my own. You can apply to be Emma's guardian through blood relations. She is very sensible. As long as you are good to her, one day she will accept you." Lucas suddenly felt an inexplicable surge of anger. "You just simply gave Emma to me. You didn't even mention any conditions. Sophia, you really have no resentment towards me at all." I was a bit stunned. He must make me hate him. Is this revenge considered successful? In that case, I just promised him. I did hate before, but the words are not finished yet. The old window in the kitchen suddenly broke completely. It made the already cramped and damp kitchen even more chaotic. Swarms of cockroaches suddenly flooded into the dimly lit living room. They disappeared in the blink of an eye. I looked at this room that costs 300 yuan a month. I smiled helplessly. "Did you see that? I've lived in a place like this for 6 years. Lucas, just surviving has already taken all my strength. I really have no energy left to hate. I truly can't bring myself to hate anymore." Lucas said I'm just being cowardly and avoiding trouble. I gave up on revenge to escape. I chose the easier path. He wasn't wrong. But so what even if I killed him? Emma's illness wouldn't get better. The creditors wouldn't let me off either. The manager hits and bullies me. I still have to thank him for taking me in. He gives me high commissions. Even what Lucas said wasn't wrong. My dad really deserves to die. My parents treated me well, but that doesn't mean they are good people. To make more money, they desperately exploit the workers. They threaten the workers with low wages to work overtime. As a result, Lucas's parents died from overwork. They accidentally fell to their deaths. At that time, the internet was not well developed. My parents spent some money to cover up this matter. Isabella's teddy dog is worth more than the compensation for 2 lives. Although many things are unclear, but my dad is good to me. I am his daughter. No matter how big his mistakes are, I still have to guard his grave. What does it matter if Lucas takes revenge? His daughter is unwilling to acknowledge him. His fiancée has also cut off contact with him. There is not a trace of a smile on his face. In less than an hour, the balcony was filled with cigarette butts. He feels sorry for his parents, sorry for himself, and even more sorry for Emma. The past, he no longer thinks about it. As for the future, leaving Emma is the best choice for her. Stop drinking. Take the money back. The manager patted the table at the drinking table. The flesh on his face trembled. His tone rarely softened. "Listen carefully. This money is what I lent you. You have to work for me to pay it back. You can never think of defaulting on it in this lifetime. However, as for that kind of service in the future, will you do it or not? It all depends on yourself. To be honest, you've worked for me for 3 years. Can you still resist the temptation of making quick money? Honestly, just massage feet. You're really the first one sometimes. I actually admire you quite a bit." I smiled. I didn't take the money, just focused on drinking. In these 7 years, I couldn't even bear to buy a drink. It's rare to have a chance to indulge. Completely unable to stop, the manager no longer persuaded me. He sighed. "Tell me what those colleagues are saying about me behind my back. They say I'm putting on an act. They also say I'm a person who has been abandoned. I have no right to pretend to be pure. Actually, I've known about these rumors for a long time, but I don't care at all." Days pass by one after another. I go to work and come home as usual. The matter has already passed. There's nothing special about it. I'm drunk. I walked alone to that overpass I stop to look at every time I pass by. The stars twinkle in the night sky. The city's neon lights are also shining. They intertwine, as if they have built a bridge to heaven. This time, I can finally cross the railing. I'm about to take a step, but my phone suddenly rang. After hanging up, a message came right after. "Where did you just go? Hurry home. When you weren't here, Emma wouldn't even eat a bite." At that moment, my phone slipped from my hand. It fell into the river. I didn't notice it at all. I keep reminding myself, Emma cares about you so much. You should feel happy and comforted. But I can't help but feel disappointment inside. I can't help but think, if I can't die, do I have to continue enduring discomfort to give foot massages? Or do even more uncomfortable services? Do I have to do it for that little remaining warmth? Because of Emma's illness, always living in fear, this suffocating life, am I going to live like this for a lifetime? Oh, these years. It was the first time I cried. I admit Lucas was right. I really am a cold-hearted person. I don't deserve to be a mother at all. After crying, I quickly pulled myself together. I ran home quickly. I hugged Emma. I softly comforted her. Mom is too busy with work. That's why she comes home a bit late. Emma, don't be afraid. Mom will never be away for so long again. Never again. Isabella ultimately couldn't be as heartless as she imagined. Her lingering feelings for love made her unable to resist visiting Lucas once. She saw that Lucas looked noticeably haggard. He was trying every possible way to gain Emma's approval, as if he were possessed. Isabella felt a pang in her heart. She couldn't help but shed tears. Lucas had always been cold to her. His attitude was resolute. He said, "There is no possibility between us. Isabella, I can lie to you, but I cannot deceive myself. I can't completely forget the past to start over with you. Let's go. I don't want to hold you back." I suddenly realized, Lucas has never let go of the past. He might be suffering more than I am, learning that Emma likes to watch the stars. On the weekend, Lucas brought her a telescope, but Emma didn't even touch it. She took my hand and got into the manager's car. Lucas rushed to the front of the car. He asked eagerly, "Where are you going?" The manager was aware of Lucas's previous actions towards me. He said coldly, "You still call yourself Emma's father. You don't even know about the parent-teacher meeting at the child's school." Lucas completely lost his mind. He no longer cared about his image in Emma's eyes. He frantically tried to pull the car door open. "Get out of the car. What right do you have to attend my daughter's parent meeting?" The manager was also hot-tempered. He wanted to rush up and argue as soon as he got out of the car. I was worried it would delay Emma's matters. I quickly stopped him. "If he doesn't go, who do you plan to send Lucas? Are you willing to pretend to be my husband? He hates me so much. He also hates me and the Smith family, even if he loves Emma that much. It is impossible under the circumstances where all truths are revealed, and pretend to be a loving couple with me, a woman who has a deep-seated grudge against him." But what happened next left me speechless in surprise. Lucas hardly thought about it, just answered directly, "Why not?" As soon as Lucas finished speaking, the manager knocked him to the ground with a punch. Emma looked at the manager. Her eyes were filled with admiration. She praised him for being really impressive. I could feel it. Emma actually didn't like this man who seemed a bit fierce, but she appeared particularly close to him all the way. This showed me a gentle side of the manager that he had never displayed before. He smiled particularly happily. That night, he transferred me over 100,000 to help me treat my daughter as long as I am alive. I have to keep working for him. He would give me enough money every month so that Emma and I could live normally. With this money, my previously difficult days finally had hope. But I just got the money. Then I heard the manager was thrown into prison. A few creditors quickly came knocking. They threatened me with my dad's grave and Emma's safety, forcing me to hand over all my money. My hopes were shattered in an instant. Just when I was about to break down, Lucas appeared. He said to me, "That guy is the one I sent in to buy evidence of his previous crimes. I spent quite a bit of money, but it was worth it. Sophia, you can only rely on me. I won't allow my daughter to call anyone else dad." Seeing that smug intensity in his eyes, I couldn't help but tremble. It felt like when my parents passed away, I received a call from Lucas. The moment I realized everything was planned by him, the pain in my heart spread throughout my body. I collapsed on the ground, convulsing, gradually losing consciousness in the long agony. Wait until I wake up. Seeing Lucas, who was guarding the bedside, actually shedding tears, he suddenly said something that was hard to understand. "Sophia, I really can't take it anymore. I still love you, but my parents' feud makes it impossible for me to be with you. As long as you let me live, to take care of Emma, you can treat me however you want. As long as you can calm down, no matter how you punish me, I will accept it." He cried harder and harder. His head lowered even deeper. His tears flowed uncontrollably. I was stunned for a while. Only then did I notice the diagnosis at the head of the bed. It said late-stage liver cancer. It is already untreatable. I kept shouting, "Sophia, Sophia. Why did Lucas do this? Stop pretending. If I die, shouldn't you be happy?" Emma is very understanding. She knows I wouldn't mess around at a critical moment. "You have gained a daughter and eliminated an enemy. It should have been a time for celebration. I didn't expect it to turn out this way. 7 years later, I heard Lucas say, "I love you again." These 3 words once cost me my family. They destroyed everything I had. I often fantasize about having an incurable illness, just lying in bed waiting for life to end. Every time I think of this scene, I can't help but smile. I feel a deep sense of joy. It is a feeling that I feel liberated without any burden. No matter how late I stay up, how much energy I expend, or how irregular my diet is, my body remains very healthy. Gradually, I also gave up that fantasy. But now, the dream has finally come true. The 3 words from Lucas echoed in my ears again. I closed my eyes and said, "Stop lying to me. I've lost everything. There's really nothing left to lose," he replied. "I'm not lying to you. I never have. You were foolish back then." Clumsily pushing the suitcase, you followed me around like a little sidekick. Unknowingly, I ended up taking it seriously. I really fell in love with you, but I haven't avenged my parents yet. I really can't when I call you to tell you the whole truth. My heart hurts like it's bleeding. I thought that as long as I provoked you and made you filled with hatred like me, you would fight hard and seek revenge desperately, to seek revenge with all my might in that case, even if I die at your hands. I am also willing. So when we meet again, he was very angry about my self-destructive behavior of letting go of hatred to become a foot masseuse. Everything he did was to provoke me, to help me regain my strength and live a better life. But when he discovered Emma's existence, his thoughts changed. That kind of beauty right in front of him planted a seed called letting go in his heart, which quickly grew into a big tree. Seeing other men attending Emma's parent-teacher meetings, Lucas completely broke down inside. He even thought about letting go of past hatred and recklessly starting a family with me at least. He once dreamed of such a thing, but when I was diagnosed with late-stage liver cancer, this dream of his was shattered as well. The more he loved me, the more pain he felt inside. He told me himself that pain was stronger than when he learned of his parents' passing. Then carry this pain with you. Carry the regret and guilt. Raise Emma well. Maybe I should say a few comforting words. Let him let go of the past, so that Lucas can have a better life. No need to struggle in pain every day. It's suffocating, but I don't have the right to forgive him, no matter how much he loves me, no matter how much he thinks of me. It cannot erase my 7 years of nightmarish memories, even in the last moments of my life. Those images still often appear in my dreams. That time was incredibly long, incredibly oppressive. Fortunately, these matters will only concern Lucas from now on. Mom, I read your diary, and I've heard you talk in your sleep. I heard Emma whispering in my ear, "I know what that man did to you." This sentence keeps me awake, worriedly looking at her. "Continue." Emma held me tightly. She said with a choked voice, "Mom, no matter how much I hate him, I will study hard, grow up quickly. I will live a happy and joyful life. I write down what I want to say on paper every day, finally sending you a message." I closed my eyes. The past has been buried like dirt. Love and hate have scattered with the wind.